You know, wonders never seem to cease me. Well, not just that, but it's just... You talk about copying from one person to another. I mean, well, not just copying, but doing the exact same thing but in your own style. I mean, seriously, what is TNA? What is TNA and Jeff Hardy thinking? I ask you that. What are they thinking? I mean, last night on Impact, even though I didn't see it, I saw the pictures, and they basically on screen presented Jeff Hardy with a new championship belt in his image. Now, according to some people that commented on some of the photos on Facebook, when they saw Hogan take the TNA title and put it in the trash, they said in the background it looked like AJ and Kazarian had a look of disgust on the face, almost a look of uncertainty, almost a look of, you know, they want to say something, they want to do something, but they can't, because it's all part of a storyline. Honestly, what is TNA thinking? I mean, yes, I read the reports, I read the stories that Jeff originally had that belt made for him. Heck, I heard reports that Shannon Moore was going to have a belt made for him, but TNA declined it. But yet they accept this one? And for what reason? Because it presents a new regime? You know what I say about it? I say that TNA really needs to stop copying the WWE. I mean, we have seen the WWE on multiple occasions present newer renditions of the belts. We have. We saw the belt which Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, and even the Big Show have worn. We've seen the Smoking Skull belt, which Stone Cold invented to represent his title reign. We saw the Undisputed belt, which introduced a new era in the championship. We've seen John Cena and Edge present themselves with new versions of the WWE title. We have seen John Cena himself present us with a new version of the United States title. And everybody knows, that all TNA is doing is copying WWE. And it's pathetic. I mean, I like TNA, I like watching them and all that, but when you say, hey, Jeff Hardy, we're going to present you with your own belt, but we're going to make it look like it's a belt representing from us to you, can't TNA think of anything original? Can't Vince Russo think of anything original? I mean, everybody's been criticizing the belt too. They say it's like a combination of a Divas title in whatever. A Divas title in the Rey Mysterio mask. That's what they say it looks like. And quite honestly, I don't blame people for feeling that way. But come on, honestly, you seriously want to do this? You want to copy WWE and say, oh, this belt represents the new regime? That's basically like paraphrasing Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena when they say these new belts, these new reversions of the belts, these new whatever reversions of these championships represent the Attitude Era, or our reign, our era, our time, our regime. That's what it sounds like. I mean, when Vince McMahon had that championship belt, that big round championship belt that replaced the winged belt, that represented, that big circle championship represented the Attitude Era. And then, like I said, when you had Austin, John Cena, Edge, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Nexus does it eventually by putting an N in the middle where the W is. But when you have all these people doing what's already been doing this way before TNA thinks of doing it, it's called ripping it off. Now, I know some fans out there may say, well, TNA didn't really rip it off. They just gave it a redesign. That's exactly what John Cena did. That's what Stone Cold did. Okay, that's what Edge did. That's what the WWE did back in the late to mid 80s. I mean, in the mid to late 80s. Remember Hulk Hogan used to have that world title? Okay, let's go even further. 1984, Hulk Hogan won the WWE Championship, right? When Hogan won that belt, how long did it take for them to switch from that belt to the smaller belt? From that green belt and all that to the smaller belt. How long did it take? Not that long, because that smaller belt represented a new regime, a new era in wrestling. It represented what was known as the Rock and Wrestling era. And then when they went and changed it to the winged belt in 1988, that represented the Federation era. That represented an era going into the new decade, the 90s era, if you will. The new generation, if you shall, of wrestlers. That's what it represented. Yeah, some people may say, well, it didn't really represent the new generation. Think about the person who first won that ring title, who was first presented with the ring title. Savage. He was the first one. Yeah, Hogan won it back a year later, but Savage was the first one. Then who had it after Hogan? Won it from Savage. Who had it after Hogan won it from Savage? Warrior. That's what the winged belt represented. A new generation of stars that never had been champion in the WWE. Yeah, when Ric Flair came in, he won the title. Yeah, we all saw that. But he didn't have a year-long title reign. He had a reign from January to April. And then later on he had it from like September, or from August to November. So basically he had a 6-month reign, 3 different months in between the year. That's all he had. That's all he had. If you get what I'm saying. But most of the time, that championship belt, that wing title, represented the new era of the new generation in wrestling. Yeah, Hogan had it. Savage had it. Yeah, Hogan had it 3 times Hogan had it? Okay, Hogan had it 3 times? Savage had it twice. You know, Flair had it twice. Yeah, those guys had it. But like I said, Savage was the first one to get it. And by doing so, represented the new generation of stars that eventually would get it. Like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Sid, Diesel. Yeah, Bob Backlund won it, but that was just to thank him. You get what I'm saying though, right? And for TNA to do something similar by saying, hey Jeff, this belt that we're bringing down to you, this purple striped, this purple leather, you know, this belt, this new belt that looks like a combination of a Divas title and the Rey Mysterio mask, but it's actually a representation of who you are because it has the face paint and everything that represents you. It's like, are you serious? It's like, are you totally effing serious? I mean, are you totally serious about that? I mean, ECW did this before WWE, I mean, before TNA would have thought about it. In fact, ECW did. Multiple times. ECW did about multiple times they did this. They did it when Shane Douglas threw down the NWA title and took the ECW Eastern Championship Wrestling title and made it the world belt. They did it multiple times. They changed it one time when Raven became champion to represent his reign. Then they changed it into another design to represent what would be the last reign and the last, I guess, era of ECW. Then they brought that belt back when WWE brought ECW back. And then for WWE to show, hey, ECW is now under our banner. It's under our regime. Here, have a big silver belt. Or a big platinum belt. That's what they did. That's what they did. That's called error. It's called changing of the guard. It's called representing a new era. You don't take in TNA doing that. It's like, come on. If this is just for Jeff Hardy's reign, we all know what's going to happen, right? Jeff Hardy's going to eventually lose. The old belt's going to come back, and you know who comes back with it? Dixie Carter. That's right. I mean, honestly, you want to know something? Anytime a superstar has a championship belt presented to him that's going to represent their reign, usually that title doesn't last very long. It doesn't. Okay, John Cena's redesigning of the championship has lasted a long time. But a lot of people are thinking that's going to get changed as well soon. We don't know when. Or hoping it will. But that represented the new era in WWE, which eventually went from the last years of the Attitude Era, which were about, what, 2005, which represented the last 3 or 4 years of the Attitude Era, but more so represented the new era of wrestling. The Cena era, Orton era, whatever you want to call it. That's what it represented. But usually championships don't last that long, especially if a championship that represents has your insignia on it, has your logo, has your face on it. They don't last long. They don't. And I'll tell you why they don't. I'll tell you why they don't. Because when that happens, like, okay, when Edge won the title from Cena, Edge eventually had a belt representing him brought down, and it had the Rated R logo on it. Everybody knew the Rated R logo wasn't going to last long, and eventually when Edge lost, the title disappeared. Right? I'll be back in a second.